Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for race number 2 of our doubleheader on a Friday night for NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005. Mr. Good Sense 300 live on KRC at the Kansas Speedway. 11 races to go into crowning a Busch Series champion, and coming off of our first race today at the Homestead Miami Speedway, our driver Greg Biffle got the win. Not only winning the race, but qualifying on the pole and leading all 200 laps wire to wire en route to an easy win as it went caution free and had no challenge all throughout the 300-mile race. But another 300-mile race, another mile-and-a-half racetrack, another 200-lap race. We'll see what he can do this time. He is starting outside front row in second. Kyle Busch is the pole sitter for the second race of the doubleheader today. And not by much. 1/1000th of a second was all the difference between first and second in qualifying. Kyle Busch on the pole, so almost had the same exact lap time for the top two in qualifying 2 nights in a row. But not quite. 1/1000th of a second, just quick enough for Kyle Busch to get the pole. It was definitely very, very close. And we'll see how close this race will get here today. Jackson Thomas, Derek Booth, thank you for tuning in to the second race of the doubleheader tonight. Let's get ready. Kyle Busch on the pole, green flag in the air. We're underway at Kansas. Biffle trying to get down to the bottom, and finally does, but he lost quite a few spots on the opening corner. On the opening lap of this race, falling from second to fourth before getting to the inside behind the 117 car. I'm doing great. Aston Township, welcome to the stream. We'll closes on the back of the 117 car into turn 1. Biffle trying to go for the sweep tonight. Kyle Busch able to lead the opening lap of the race. Welcome to the stream, Billy Kramer, as well. Biffle to the inside of the 117 in turns 3 and 4. Biffle never hit the wall all 200 laps in the first race today. We'll see if he can somehow try to do that in race number 2 as well. Backs out of the corner a little early. Tim Fiedler chops him off. And Biffle slides clear off turn 2 after Fiedler basically moved himself out of the way. We got the win with Greg Biffle in the first race. Welcome to the stream, by the way, Alan Barkley. Biffle led all 200 laps from the pole in that one. Kyle Busch has led the first 3 from the pole in the second race at Kansas today. Okay, no stream tomorrow night. Doubleheader again on Sunday with NASCAR 05 Nextel Cup Series race at Watkins Glen at noon Eastern Standard Time. And then at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the Dover NASCAR Cup Series race I'll be doing the live commentary for this weekend. Wasn't originally planning to do that, shifting things up a little bit this weekend. Hence the doubleheader tonight and not being able to stream tomorrow, but then another doubleheader on Sunday. Just trying to make it up to you guys as much as I can. Report of a 2.8 earthquake near your area in Missouri. Just now? Isn't that kind of rare? I feel like that's not a normal spot to have an earthquake. In Missouri. We come into this race caution-free in the last Busch race and the last 2 Cup races. There was a lot of smoke off turn 4 that last lap. May have been some cars that had gotten together. But we are green for right now, and we'll see if somehow we go 4 in a row on this game on the channel without a caution. 400 laps at Levi Strauss Signature Speedway, 200 laps at Homestead. That's 600 in the last two. And the Cup race prior to that would have had 266 at Las Vegas at one caution free. So 866 green flag laps. You have to go back to 25 laps to go at Michigan was the last time we had a caution on the channel. It has been a while. So coming into this race today, it has literally been 891 laps since the last caution. Biffle's all over the back bumper of Kyle Busch right now, looking for the lead in turns 1 and 2. Biffle got a little tight in the middle of the corner, had to lift. Can we hit 1,000 laps without a caution flag? Biffle, a little too deep off turn 4. Power sliding down on the apron, that doesn't help either. Gonna wear his tires out quite a bit early in the run if he keeps doing that. Yeah, I didn't realize there was a fault line in Missouri, to be completely honest. The only one I knew of in the U.S. was California, to be completely honest. Or at least that area of the West Coast. Is gaining quite a bit on Kyle Busch the last few laps. That's the last time I'm going to the apron today. All 4 times Biffle's gone down to the apron in the tri-oval, he has had a complete power slide and drifts all the way through the front stretch. That was still his fastest lap of the race, though, that time by before he started drifting, of a 31.228. Look at all the smoke he left behind. That was all from him. Definitely burning those rear tires out every time he does that. They loosen the car up over the course of the long run. Mark DeMars, welcome into race 2. A lot of you guys joining from the end of race number 1. Kyle Busch basically picking up where Biffle left off, qualifying on the pole and leading every lap so far. Biffle again challenging as he closes and off turn 2. He gets to the inside. Busch didn't even try to protect that time. And Biffle will have the advantage into turn 3 on the bottom. And he'll slide up clear off turn 4 with a clean pass. Busch cracks the wall off turn 4 as well. Maybe getting back into the gas a little too soon. 5 bonus points now for Greg Biffle, leading his first lap of race 2 of the doubleheader. Busch again in the walls. 2 laps in a row off turn 4. He's gotten into it. maybe struggling in the dirty air. First he's had to deal with it in the early going of tonight's race. You can already tell from the start Biffle's car is not as fast compared to the rest of the field as what it was at Homestead earlier. He's definitely not pulling away from Kyle Busch. There remains a two-car breakaway at the front of the field. Why am I doing full-length races? I always do full-length races. Very rarely I don't do full-length races. Busch got tight. That time he didn't get in the wall off turn 4. I think he got out of the gas in time. His momentum broke right in the middle of turns 3 and 4. It's fun to let the strategy play all the way out. That and doing the realistic commentary makes it even more realistic of a race than doing the full race. I personally like it. One more super speedway race left on this Busch Series season as well, coming up in a few races at Talladega. Got a trip to Darlington coming up in the next few races. Michigan. Season finale is at California for the Busch Series custom schedule season. And the countdown to NASCAR 06 within a few weeks on the channel. Tim Irvin, welcome to race number 2. Busch looking low, under Biffle for the lead. Biffle really squeezing Busch. They've raced each other clean so far. We'll see if they'll continue to do it. Biffle trying to side draft the 5 of Busch. Busch is going to be clear off turn 4. Biffle with the undercut off the exit of turn 4, looking to the inside of the 5. Busch leads that lap at the start-finish line. Biffle back to the bottom into turn 1. And Biffle will be clear in the middle of the corner. Already more entertaining than what the entire Homestead race was in the first 24 laps of this one. Biffle overdrives turns 3 and 4. He got half of his car down to the apron. Somehow Kyle Busch couldn't muscle his car up enough to get to the inside of Biffle off the exit of turn 4 and still stays in line behind him into turn 1. He might get around him now. Biffle back in the gas a little too soon at 3 and 4. Busch almost slid right into the side of the 60. Biffle pinching Kyle Busch down on the racetrack. These guys are definitely racing very hard with one another. Early! Oh, Busch just squeezed Biffle into the wall off turn 4. Mentioned there was little room for error. That was a pretty hard lick for both drivers. As we stay green. It didn't seem like the 60 came down on the 5. It seemed like the 5 came up. We saw Busch get tight a few times off turn 4. At least when he was in dirty air. He wouldn't have had the dirty air that time, though, because they were side by side. Self-clearing himself off turn 4. Trying to run Busch back down again. And coming into this race, 891 laps consecutive between the Busch and Cup Series combined on this game and on the channel in general without a caution. We could hit 1,000 laps if we get 109 laps caution-free in today's race. It may be a feat on this channel we may never reach again. If we're running down Kyle Busch. Getting Eric Jones diecast. That your driver. Wide entrance into turns 1 and 2. Kyle Busch just ran even wider. Still stays in front of the 60. Busch definitely seems to be blocking a lot more than what he was earlier. Middle of turns 3 and 4. Pulls down a little bit lower in the middle of the corner. Biffle trying to side draft the 5. Side by side. Busch leads that lap at the start-finish line. Still nose-to-nose into turn 1. Biffle on the bottom, Busch on the outside. Off turn 2, Busch trying to side draft the 60. Biffle pretty flat into turn 3. But he pulls up and he clears the 5 of Kyle Busch. Busch is in the wall off turn 4 and Biffle will gap him. It's the 3rd time Kyle Busch has gotten into the wall by himself. 4th time total he's gotten into the wall off turn 4. So that's definitely where Busch is struggling the most. We had 18 likes in the last stream, already 11. The first 33 laps of this one here tonight. Harvick fan, but he's washed up a bit. A bit. I think that's a fair assessment. He's not like completely washed up. He's still consistent. He just hasn't won in a while. He's not like Jimmy Johnson the last couple of years of his career where he's struggling just to get into the playoffs and missing the playoffs. He's not like on that. He's still consistently top 8 to 12 in points. I mean, what? He finished 5th in points last season, even though he didn't have a win. Ran top 10 in points all year. Again, Kyle Busch is in the wall. I don't know how many times Kyle Busch is going to get into the wall off turn 4, but If he's not careful, he's going to end up tearing that right front fender right off the race car. Maybe Biffle just keeps putting Busch in the dirty air and putting him in that predicament, making Busch have to lift or smack the wall. Obviously, Biffle's only main competitor right now is Kyle Busch, so if Busch ends up getting taken out of this one, better for Biffle. What would be considered a major earthquake to you guys? Like a 5 or a 6? About halfway on the Richter scale? It's another hit into the wall for Kyle Busch off turn 4. It's only going to get worse and worse the more damage he adds on, as well as worse and worse the more wear he puts on his tires. He's definitely put a lot of stress on the right sides, especially that right front. He keeps pounding into the wall lap after lap. Not literally lap after lap, but it seems like it, as much as he's already gotten into it. Younger gen drivers liking Jones and Briscoe. Mirror driving on Busch all the way through 3 and 4 that time, just trying to force Kyle into a mistake. Kyle's gotten into the wall 6 times already in this one, 5 all by himself. Biffle drove way too deep into turn 1. He's gonna go way up the racetrack. Oh, and Busch makes contact with him, and he's in the wall again off turn 2. Biffle tried to chop Busch off the exit of turn 2 when Kyle was already there. It was just a late block that was thrown. It's another time Busch has gotten into the wall, but that time it was not his fault. And Biffle's got about a 1.2 second lead. And continue to stay green. Kyle Busch is not liking Greg Biffle right now. Contact those two drivers have made a couple times now in the early going of tonight's race. Right front tire in the yellow for Biffle. 44 laps completed into the opening fuel run. We'll see if Biffle can make this race on 2 stops as well. He's able to make it at Homestead on 2 stops. Everybody else had to take 3. We'll see if he can stretch this one out. I doubt it. Already quarter tank of gas at lap 45. This one is definitely going to be a 3-stop race today. Strange to me that they're both mile and a halves, yet Biffle was able to go about an extra 12 laps on fuel at one track versus the other. It's very strange. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Comment in the chat down below. These 2 mid-race questions, not the trivia questions, but the mid-race questions. 1, will we end up getting 1,000 consecutive laps on the channel without a caution? We need to get to lap 109. If we get there, then the second question for you guys is, do you think we'll see another caution-free race? This could be the 7th of the Busch Series season. It'll be back-to-back in the Busch Series. And again, it'd be 4 in a row if you combine the Cup and the Busch Series together. There are still cautions on. We just haven't seen any wrecks. Busch starting to run Greg Biffle down just a little bit again. Is that a yes for both of them, Tim? Answers to both questions is no, according to Mark DeMars. It'll be 50 laps complete at the start-finish line this time by. Billy says 2 cautions total tonight. Yeah, my thoughts on the next-gen car, I haven't really, changed a whole lot. I'm liking it. Definitely a lot harder to handle. As is any new car. But this one in particular, especially on the intermediates. Ryan Alsop and R6R6, welcome to the stream. As far as the short tracks go, I do think they need to add a little bit more horsepower because it feels like the cars are a little bit too stable. Either add horsepower and or a different tire compound because it just feels like they have too much mechanical grip on the short tracks. So the 10 car of Terry Cook, who blew an engine very early in this race, is going to work his way back onto the racetrack. He is down a cylinder. Haven't seen this in a few races on the channel. Somebody coming out of the garage and back onto the racetrack. Depends on if I cause one or not. I don't cause one all the time. Obviously, 3 races in a row I haven't. Ryan also says that it's going to go caution-free. What if we just never have a caution again on the channel? Cautions are forever broken and it doesn't matter what game we play. No more yellows. That's it. Our last one was with 25 laps to go at Michigan in the Cup Series on, what was that, Monday? No, it was Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, Wednesday. We have our first takers onto pit road. It looks like off turn 4 this time. I think the only driver locked into the playoffs right now that wasn't on my preseason playoff predictions. Biffle chops off Kyle Busch in the 5 to hold on to the lead. Make that the third time the 5 and the 60 have made contact in the early going. But Ross Chastain's the only driver that I didn't have in my playoff predictions at the beginning of the season that is locked in right now. The other 7 that have won so far this year I did have. More contact off turn 2 between Kyle Busch and Greg Biffle, and Busch is just going to come into the pits this time. So Kyle Busch pits, Biffle's still out on the racetrack. Biffle's going to stay out to lap 59 and then he'll pit. Over a 3-second lead over whoever's in second place now. Greg Biffle will pit off turn 4 this time. First stop of race 2 of the doubleheader tonight at the Kansas Speedway. 4 tires and fuel, no adjustments for the 60 of Greg Biffle. Derek Booth has Chastain, Cindric, Dillon. Yeah, I did have Cindric making the playoffs this year. I also had Briscoe winning a race making the playoffs. But Chastain was the only one I didn't have. Of your list versus mine, I don't know if those were your preseason playoff picks or not, but I mean, I'd agree with you. Actually, I don't think I had Almirola on my preseason predictions making the playoffs. I'd have to go back and look. Kenny Wall still on the racetrack. We're getting up to speed right now. Kenny Wall's down to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll pit this time by. And there's Kyle Busch. Just gonna cycle ahead of Biffle as he clears him off turn 4. So the 5 and the 60 are up to speed. Biffle maybe underneath him. Just enough off turn 4. They're closing in on the 10 car of Terry Cook. Busch checks up on the outside behind Cook. Biffle on the bottom with the advantage to clear Kyle Busch off turn 2. So Biffle may just cycle back in the lead again anyway. And that will be the case. Kenny Wallace is able to lead 2 laps. Enough to get 5 bonus points for himself. He's in the top 10 of the point standings right now in the Busch Series. So our first set of green flag pit stops have cycled through. Caution-free in race 2 of the doubleheader. We went caution-free in race 1 at Homestead. 1.5 mile, 200 lap, 300 mile race in the first race. Same for the second. Ford Mustang won the ARCA Menards race today. Heard the cars at the track. Kind of stinks the trucks aren't racing there this year. Just Xfinity and Cup only this weekend. Well, and ARCA, I guess, too. I think the trucks are at Darlington next week, though. Have a few weeks off between Dirt Bristol and the next race at Darlington. Mother's Day weekend. It's hard to believe Mother's Day's next weekend already. It's crazy. It's already May in 2022. In a couple days at least. Terry Cook's probably going to be caught every 8 to 12 laps within that stretch. We've still got about a 1 second lead. He can go to about lap 118 before he'll end up having to make his second stop. 59 laps on the opening fuel run. Maybe could have went 60, but didn't want to risk it. The trucks aren't at Michigan this year either. I get to see them at Mid-Ohio at least. Oh, your birthday's on Mother's Day? Well, this year at least. I wouldn't fall on it every year. But... So you and your mom can exchange gifts then? Is that how it's always worked? It's almost like a Secret Santa, but you know who the gift's coming from because it's just the two of you. Going out in the round of 12. Hamlin, Briscoe, Logano, Bowman. I don't know. The way Hamlin's running this year, he looks like an easy round of 16 exit, to be completely honest. We're running down the 10 of Terry Cook again. We'll catch him. Same spot he did last time, right off the exit of turn 2. Catching him in a pretty good spot. Definitely as calm as this race has been so far since cycling off of pit road. It's a pretty good battle between Kyle Busch and Greg Biffle those first 59 laps before that. You know what's another good racing game? What would that be, Tim? One that you haven't mentioned at least? I've never heard of that game in my life. Not gonna lie. Assetto Corsa Competizione. So like a kind of a racing game, is it? Part of a motorsport racing champion, motorcycle, and a race car? No. Kansas Speedway for the Cup Race 2019 Mother's Day birthday present that year. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it used to be on Darlington when whenever Darlington had a spring race, but yeah, that year they wouldn't have had one. They didn't bring the second Darlington Day back until 2020 after the pandemic. Kind of because they had to that season, then they just stuck with it after that. Larson, Elliott, Kyle Busch, and Byron Championship 4. I could definitely see that. All four of those guys have been pretty consistent this year. Well, Larson hasn't been as consistent as the other three on that list, but when he's on, he's been on. I mean, he has one win, but he also has 5 top 5 finishes as well in 10 races. Just has a few DNFs. Because I think he's 7th in points. So he's definitely having a really good, consistent year. Even with 3 DNFs. If he didn't have those 3 DNFs, I'd be in contention for the regular season championship again this year. And he still may be. I mean, there's still a long ways to go. 16 races yet till the playoffs. He can still try to go back-to-back on the regular season titles. If we're closing in on Terry Cook again, this time he's going to catch him middle of the back straight away. More towards the entry of turn 3, actually, compared to the exit of turn 2. Cook stays on the outside, and Biffle easily blows around him on the bottom. John Surtees became the first motorsport champion on 2 wheels and 4 wheels. Won the F1 title in 1964 driving for Ferrari. There's your interesting fact. Motorsport racing fact of the night. We'll be having a trivia question of our own in race 2 of the doubleheader in about another 20 laps when we get halfway. We've been doing on the channel quite a bit lately. Byron could be a threat to win it all. For sure. The only thing with Chastain is just, with Trackhouse still being only in their 2nd year in the Cup Series, do they have the capability to keep this same speed all season? I feel more confident with Hendrick Motorsports that would be the case. That's why I feel a little more confident with Byron. There's no reason, obviously, the way Chastain is ran right now, to say that he wouldn't be a Championship 4 contender right now, because I think he would be. Physics are way better than any racing game out there. Talking ever? Like all time? Or are you just talking like right now? Is that a modern game? Laps away from the halfway mark for Greg Biffle. He just keeps getting around Terry Cook pretty quickly every 10 laps, too. It seems like he puts a couple tenths on the drivers behind him again. Ever since Kyle Busch has been out of contention since cycling through pit stops. Not out of contention for the win, just out of contention of being able to fight Biffle for the lead lap after lap. By the way, we're only 22 laps away from seeing 1,000 consecutive laps on the channel without a caution on the NASCAR video game side of things. A feat that may never happen again if we get there. Watch us get like one lap short. We'll get at 999 and then we'll get a caution at lap 108 in this race. I could see it. Heavy lap traffic right now as Biffle's catching up to Terry Cook in the 60. Going to the outside, getting held up. A few other cars are already on the outside off turn 4. Biffle will finally get around Cook. He had to get on the brakes pretty heavily in the middle of the corner. And he had about a 2.1 second lead going into 3. Coming out of turn 4, he only had about a 1.6 second lead. Now second on back is going to get caught behind Cook in turns 1 and 2. And it looks like it's right back out to a 2.3 second lead again. Now a little more than that. 2.5 seconds and growing. 2.7 seconds is Greg Biffle ahead of second. About halfway on fuel at lap 90. So again, the plan is to make it to lap 118 before Biffle makes his second of 3 pit stops in this race. So some drivers take it a little bit further than him. 5 drivers, including Kenny Walls, who stayed out longer to lead 2 more laps than Biffle. My checker at 4 to go. Yeah, NHL playoffs starting up here pretty soon. $16 likes right now on the stream. Very, very much appreciate you guys that hit that like button on a nightly basis and come and watch these streams on a nightly basis. Definitely hit the like button if you haven't already. Again, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. You don't want to miss this weekend's coverage of the NASCAR Cup Series at Dover International, or Dover Motor Speedway now. I guess it's Speedway Motorsports owns it, and we have a caution at lap 93. We did not quite get to 1,000, ladies and gentlemen. We were about 15 laps short. Car in the wall in turns 1 and 2. And it looks like a multi-car accident. Oh, wow, we had about 4 cars pile up into that. The 131 spins into the outside wall all by himself, backs it down across another car, and then there were a couple more cars that piled in after the fact. So a 3-car accident. Greg Biffle will pit this time, and we'll see if everybody else pits with him. That is the case. So second pit stops of the race today, all under caution, 4 tires and fuel for the 16. The field will get bunched back up again. We almost got halfway into this one without a yellow. So we were exactly 16 laps shy of 1,000 laps consecutive without a caution, but we finally got a yellow for the first time in 4 races. My goodness. We'll see if we get one in the Cup Series at Watkins Glen on Sunday. I'm sure we'll have a few in that one. That's usually one of the races that we have more cautions on in this game. It seems like Greg Biffle going to lose 3 spots on pit road. Went in first. He'll cycle out 4th. Bobby Hamilton Jr. will be the race leader for the first time tonight. 5 bonus points for him leading under the caution period. Green flag back in the air at lap 97. Terry Cook is on the bottom lane right now. Greg Biffle not sure where he wants to go. He didn't take off very well on the restart as he was pinched on the outside. Cars are going to be splitting. Cook 3 wide. Cook goes to the top, just trying to stay out of everybody's way. Biffle dive bombs underneath his teammate Kenseth into turn 3. 2 by 2 through turns 3 and 4. Ashton Lewis up the middle, 3 wide. Lap cars to the outside as well. Biffle still stays 3 wide. On the bottom of the racetrack into turns 1 and 2. Lance Brantley, Tim Fedewa up towards the outside. Greg Biffle off turn 2. Will merge his way up to second. Bobby Hamilton still has 1 more lap car to try and get around as he didn't have a good restart of his own. He'll be able to clear that lap car off of turn 4 as they're 3 wide off turn 4 further back in the pack. So Biffle trying to take the lead away from Hamilton. Biffle under Bobby Hamilton for the lead. Biffle overdrives turn 3. It was way too low on entry into the corner. Tim Fedewa in 3rd place right now, having a good run. Kevin Harvick's current spotter in the NASCAR Cup Series. And we'll be halfway this time by. Biffle trying to find a way around Hamilton. Hamilton continues to block Biffle. It's a mighty big block by the 25 car again. Tonight's trivia question, race 2 of our Friday night doubleheader on the channel, is who is the only driver in NASCAR history to win an Xfinity and a Cup race in the same weekend at Kansas? Biffle underneath Bobby Hamilton. Hamilton side drafts him and leads that lap at the line still. Had the momentum off the high side. Runs a little bit wide in turns 1 and 2 again. Having Intense battle for the lead. Beautiful side drafting Bobby Hamilton. Can he clear him this time? Biffle will clear at the start-finish line on Bobby Hamilton. Greg Biffle back out in front for the first time since the restart. Again, tonight's trivia question is who is the only driver in NASCAR history to win both an Xfinity race and a Cup race in the same weekend at Kansas Speedway? The answer is not Kyle Busch. You guys have until lap 110 to try to get the answer to tonight's trivia question. And again, also a reminder that they've only been racing at Kansas since 2001 in the NASCAR Cup Series. Matt Kenseth up to second place, getting around Bobby Hamilton. Hamilton with a bit of a crossover off of turn 4. Yeah. Okay, well, Derek Booth got the answer to tonight's trivia question. I tried to stump you guys by having Joe Nemechek as the answer for both questions tonight. Yeah, Joe Nemechek, the only driver in NASCAR history to win 3 Xfinity races at Homestead, and the only driver in NASCAR history, I should say 3 or more Xfinity races at Homestead, and also the only driver in NASCAR history to sweep an Xfinity and a Cup race in the same weekend at Kansas. That was in 2004 when that had happened. Derek Booth. Ty Gibbs did it this year. Well, considering that they have not raced at Kansas yet this season, that would not be the case for Ty Gibbs. And he's not running in the Cup race as far as I know. And Front Row Joe, the answer to tonight's first and second trivia question. Nobody got the first one. I thought about not having that as the question tonight because I figured somebody was going to get it just because it was the same answer, or same driver for the answer, 2 questions in a row. But it's such an odd driver. Well, Joe Nemechek may never be the answer to another trivia question ever again on the channel. You never know. Definitely kind of a rare one. Rush Fenway running 1-2 right now. Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth. We had a caution at lap 93, a 4-car accident in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Single car spin turned into a 4-car pileup. And that is the only caution of the second race of the doubleheader tonight, Homestead. And our first race of the doubleheader went caution free. There's 92 laps to go in race 2. And we won't be live again until Sunday afternoon at Watkins Glen for the Cup Series on NASCAR 05. You guys won't want to miss that one. 5 races to go on the Cup Series custom schedule season. Tristan Heidenkamp, welcome to the stream. Kenseth hasn't led all race long. Trying to run his teammate Greg Biffle down. We haven't seen Kyle Busch in a long time. Not since the first set of pit stops in this race. Should be able to make this race on one more pit stop. Everybody pitted just before halfway under the caution period, but they were within 120 laps, so they should be able to easily make it on just one more stop. Part of why everybody had pit during that caution on about 33 lap old tires. 38 wins and 51 starts. I don't care what motorsport that is insanely impressive. And he's a 7-time champ. Bobby Hamilton can't keep up with the Roush cars of Biffle and Kenseth. There's a 1-2-3 finish as far as Cup Series regulars in the first race at Homestead earlier tonight. Biffle finished first, Dale Jr. was second, Kevin Harvick was third. And they're 1-2 at least with 89 laps to go in this one. Yes, you did win Talladega Fantasy last week. Congrats, Tim. Climb the standings. I don't know if that's Kyle Busch in third place or not, but it definitely looks like somebody is quickly closing on Matt Kenseth, and Kenseth's losing a little bit of ground to Greg Biffle over the last few laps. Biffle's almost a half a second ahead of Kenseth now. Kenseth going a bit wide in turns 3 and 4 as well. A little over half a second back at the start-finish line. Billy said 2 cautions tonight. I think we're on pace for it. You definitely see one more before the end of the race. Only reason you're 5th, you missed Daytona points. Wow, you missed a race and you're still 5th? It's actually really good. Still got a shot at the title for the regular season. Greg Biffle going to the outside to get around Terry Cook through turns 1 and 2. Easily clear off the exit of the corner. Cook going to hold up the side-by-side traffic for second behind him into turn 3. Can't tell who's in second now, if it's still Kenseth or if somebody got around him in that mess. Terry Cook had held up the leaders. Maintaining an 0.8 of a second lead over second place. A lot of traffic really jam-packed from second on back. Pretty good battle going on back there. The more they battle, the more it can allow Greg Biffle to perhaps pull away. Biffle's crew lost 3 spots though on that caution flag pit stop. Pitted with the lead and cycled in the lead during the green flag stops. We've had 1 of each so far and still 1 more pit stop yet to go. Yeah, I always play fantasy football every year. Man, we're going to be drafting in a few months. That's just crazy. I swear this year is definitely flying by. I think it's flying by a lot more compared to years past, or at least the last 2 years with being trapped inside most of the time. Now, for the most part, most states are, for the most part, wide open. So you can go back to pretty much doing anything. So that definitely helps. Like, I traveled a lot last year in NASCAR races, but outside of that, I wasn't doing anything. Golfing. Going to NASCAR races, that was it. Work. I'm doing that this year too, but I've also gone to other events, like I was at a concert for the first time since 2019 last week. Went to a Red Wings game earlier in the winter, back in January. Something I haven't been able to do since before COVID. Definitely plan on going back to Comerica Park again this summer. Saw a Tigers game last year, but it was in Progressive. In Cleveland. I also want to go to the Kansas race for their playoff race later this year. The Royals and the Tigers play each other on the same weekend. So I'm definitely leaving a day early so I can go catch a Tigers game in KC. That'll be like a rare opportunity. I could see a Tigers game in a MLB stadium I've never seen before. The same weekend as a NASCAR race, so that all works out perfectly well with one another. Cinco de Mayo is coming. Five the mayonnaise is in a few days. I think Suarez is going to win this weekend. That's a bold prediction. He's calling a shot. If Daniel Suarez actually wins this weekend, Tim, I'm going to remember that you said that in the stream tonight. Yeah, wow, Tim Irvin called it. .76 laps to go now. Greg Biffle's closing in on Terry Cook again. Back to about 6 to 7 tenths of a second lead. He was a couple tenths slower the last couple laps compared to second place. Biffle easily gets to the bottom into turn 3 and rushes around Cook. And second on back is going to stack up behind Cook in the middle of 3 and 4. Biffle's got a 1 second lead again. Halfway on fuel with 75 laps to go. And the fuel window will open up to the end of the race in about another 15 laps. Definitely seems like Matt Kenseth is still the driver in second. He's definitely starting to run Greg Biffle down again. Biffle's just clinched the most laps led when he crossed the start-finish line that time by as he continues to lead. 72 laps to go yet at Kansas in tonight's second of 2 Busch Series races on the channel. Alternate through the different camera angles for about the next 4 laps for the final time in today's race. See if Kenseth can continue to close. Leaders have a little while before they catch Terry Cook again also. See if Kenseth can get to racing his teammate Biffle. Kenseth might have a little bit better of a long run car, which is why he's probably finally starting to catch the Biff. Go back to the far chase cam for the rest of the race when we get back to the start-finish line, this time by Kenseth in the 17 has closed on the 60 of Greg Biffle. And we have a battle into the tri-oval for the race lead between the two Roush Fenway teammates and Cup Series regulars. Biffle in the middle in 1 and 2. Kenseth to the bottom, trying to get underneath the 60, trying to side draft him. Biffle with a block and barely clear into turn 3. Barely holds on to the lead that time. And they are closing on the 10 car of Terry Cook. Biffle to the outside of the 10 of Cook. Kenseth down to the bottom as they nearly split him 3 wide, but both of the top 2 are going to get by Cook quickly that time. Looks like Cook's going to hold 3rd place on backup, allowing more of a 2-car breakaway. Biffle had a really good corner compared to Kenseth through 3 and 4 that time. It looked like he gapped him by about a car length or 2 off of turn 4. Biffle a little wide on entry though into turns 1 and 2. Kenseth gets tight in the middle of the corner though. Again, it kind of drifts up the racetrack on the exit of turn 2. Biffle starting to get a little tighter on entry while Kenseth's getting tighter on exit. Kenseth still has not led a lap yet today. He restarted at lap 97. Biffle pit after 59 laps on a green flag run earlier, so probably looking at about lap 156 being the pit stop for Greg Biffle. Maybe a little before that if he doesn't want to risk it too much. Likely looking at lap 156 being about as far as Biffle can go on fuel. I will say it does seem like Kenseth's being a little patient on Biffle. Kenseth's not racing for points. Biffle, although he's a Cup Series regular as well, is racing for points and is the points leader. He's already clinched the most laps led anyway in this race. Kenseth wants to go for a win though. Can't blame him. That's all he's here in the Busch Series to do is just go for wins. He's not racing for points. We've got some drivers pitting off of turn 4 this time. The window is open to make it on fuel to the end of the race. Quarter tank of gas left for the Biff. Don't think he's going to stretch it all the way to lap 156 because it'd be a little risky. He doesn't want to run out of fuel. This late in the race, that would definitely cost him any shot to win. Especially if it continues to stay green to the end. Kenseth brushes the wall off turn 4. Biffle gaps him off the exit of the corner. I'm excited that we're actually seeing a race in this one because the first one was a dud of a race. Honestly, this entire game, and I'm talking NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 in general, between the first season we did for all 4 series and now the all 4 series in the second season with the custom schedule seasons, I think that was probably the most boring race I think I've ever had on this game, was that Busch race at Homestead earlier today. But this one, a lot more competitive, although Biffle still has the superior car. Kyle Busch fought him early for the lead, and Kenseth has really fought him since the restart at lap 97 for the lead this time. And again, one more pit stop still remains. They're going to catch Terry Cook a handful more times the rest of the race as well. Biffle to the inside of Cook in the tri-oval. Kenseth is going to back up behind him into turn 1. And he'll get to the inside of Cook, but he fell quite a ways off the lead, though, that time on the front stretch. Kenseth taking maybe a little too easy to get around Cook. And he's 0.7 of a second off the race lead. It gives Biffle a little bit more breathing room, less pressure on his back bumper. I have not tried Wingstop. There might be 2 of them, but I know there's at least one in Toledo. And when I worked in Toledo, there was, at my last job, a bunch of people always talked about going there after work, before our weekend, our work weekend. They were always going there like every Wednesday. They had deals and stuff too. But I've never personally eaten there myself. I'd be interested to try it. What is it on like a comparison to Buffalo Wild Wings? Is it basically kind of like the same setup? Like a bar-style wing restaurant? A sports bar-style wing restaurant? Or is it just like completely different? I've driven past it before. I know exactly where it is in Toledo. I just haven't eaten there. Black Ace, welcome to the stream. Did I DNF at Homestead? I did not. I won. Scheduled doubleheader tonight. I tried to let as many people know in the community tab on the channel earlier today. I'm not going to be able to stream tomorrow night, so that's why we're running both races tonight. So kind of a change of plans as far as that goes. And also changing plans this weekend. On Sunday, I will be doing live commentary at Dover. Originally, I wasn't going to, but now I will be. We'll still have our Nextel Cup Series race at Watkins Glen at noon, but it'll be followed by the live commentary for Dover, so doubleheader on Sunday as well, but no live stream tomorrow night. The one in Dover, the staff absolutely sucks, but the food is so good. Well, don't tip them. If you're dining in, don't tip them. They don't deserve the tip. Yeah, Biffle trying to get the sweep on the doubleheader tonight. He's in a battle with his teammate Matt Kenseth. Kenseth still has not led. 51 laps to go this time by. A lot of clean air right now as well. They haven't caught lap traffic since the restart. They meaning the leaders. I almost wonder how fast the 17 car is if he can get the track position. I would imagine because him and Biffle and Kenseth are teammates that they probably have equal race cars on speed. And Matt Kenseth will pit this time by. So he was about 8 to 9 tenths of a second off the lead at lap 151, and he pit before Greg Biffle. Will that be enough to potentially cycle Kenseth back to the lead? If given the opportunity by his pit crew. He needs a clean stop. If we're going to wait to pit, probably going to stay out a couple more laps yet. Just in case we get a caution. He doesn't want to get trapped a lap down this late in the race. Remember, he's still battling for a championship. With Ron Hornaday, Terry Cook on the outside in turns 1 and 2. Biffle blows around him on the inside. Took a little over an hour and a half to pick the wings. Oh, geez. I mean, even if they're super busy, though, I can't see that. Why that would be the case. I'm surprised he stuck it out. It must be worth it, though, if the wings are that good. Plus, he couldn't have been busy. Yourself, at least. Say the second caution is going to be inside 40 to go. If we're going to pit this time off turn 4, locking the brakes up. Almost missed pit road. But he is down. 4 tires and fuel, no adjustments for the 60 of Greg Biffle. Tried to get as much time as he could before trying to turn onto pit road. He almost missed the pits. And Bobby Hamilton Jr. will take the race lead in the middle of green flag pit stops again. So lap 154, Biffle is in for his 4 tire stop, 3rd of the day, and this is the money stop for the 60 crew. Rounding the car now to the left sides. Clean stop once again, 3 for 3 in race 2, 2 for 2 in race 1. Hamilton's going to lap him. Can Biffle cycle ahead of the 17 car, though, of Matt Kenseth? Not sure where exactly Kenseth's at. There goes Matt Kenseth. Biffle on the inside. And easily Kenseth is going to cycle out in front of the 16. He was only 8 to 9 tenths of a second back, but Biffle stayed out 3 laps longer than Kenseth. That was the difference between the 17 and the 60 of who was going to cycle out ahead. They're both outside the top 10 in a lap down. Well, I guess Kenseth would be in 10th, and Biffle's 11th. Really need this to stay green at least through the pit stops. Leaders are pitting this time off turn 4. It's going to put Biffle and Kenseth back on the lead lap. And this is going to be the battle for the eventual race lead. Kenseth really high. He did not want to block Biffle at all into turn 3. Biffle stayed as low as he could to make sure he was going to be able to dive to the bottom. Now Kenseth tries to side draft the 60 when he already got alongside of him. So Jeff Burton in the 9 car is going to cycle out ahead of those cars just coming off of pit road. They're getting passed by more oncoming traffic. Biffle has cleared Kenseth. Kenseth still didn't lead a lap in that transition. It'll be a lead change this time by Kenseth will be in 2nd, right behind Greg Biffle in the 60. Was back out in front again. So Kenseth came close. He cycled ahead of Biffle initially, but after a couple laps, Biffle passes him back before the leaders made their way off of pit road. They stayed on the track a little bit longer than the 17 and the 60. Matt Kenseth still trying to lead for the first time. "41 laps to go this time by." Everybody is good on fuel to the end of the race. Everybody has already made their stops. "16 likes on the stream right now, 10 people currently watching. We've had upwards of about 15 people watching race 2 of the doubleheader tonight. Our first race had 18 likes, so we'll see if we can top that in this stream. Only 2 away from tying it. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. It's definitely the more entertaining of the 2 races up to this point. Even if it's a lackluster finish from here on out, we've definitely had a lot more battles for position, and especially for the lead in this race, than what we had in the entire Homestead race, where Biffle led wire to wire. 38 laps to go. They'll be catching Terry Cook next. Probably going to catch him right off the exit of turn 2. Biffle to the inside, clears Cook down the backstretch. Kenseth stays high, and he's going to get trapped behind the 10 car a little bit longer. Cook off the pace after blowing an engine early in the race, and then coming back out off the garage, trying to make up some points. He is in the top 10 in the standings. Likely doesn't have a shot to win the championship to the end of the year, but still looking for a top 10 points paying finish. He's having a good season in the Busch Series. Jackson Thomas, welcome back. Remember marble racing? I do. I do remember that. I remember you sending me a clip of it too. That's something I didn't think was going to get brought back up again. It's definitely going to be some faster paced lap traffic before the end of the race if it does stay green. We'll be catching those guys in about another handful of laps. That's really going to be the make or break moment in this race. Getting around Terry Cook has definitely helped and hurt at times for both the 17 and the 60. Probably a little bit better off for Biffle versus Kenseth. Biffle's at least struggled to get around him once. It was mainly in the first run of the race, though, or the first green flag run, when he was already in lap traffic the first time he was catching Terry Cook, because there was more traffic around him he was having to check out for, versus when he's the car with the clean air. He's the first one to catch Cook. He can see him before everybody else, and it's a little easier for Cook to get out of the way of the leader versus the rest of the pack behind the leader. And they're all tightly bunched together, especially like Kenseth was with Biffle those last 2 times they had caught Cook. And they should catch him 3 to 4 more times the rest of this race. Again, if it stays green. And even if we get a caution, they should catch him a couple more if we don't have cautions piling up after one another. Cautions breeding cautions is the saying. We're up to 18 likes now on the stream, so there we go. We've tied our first race of the doubleheader. And we're 1 away from breaking it. So 32 laps to go this time by. Another 15 minutes roughly to the end of this race. Biff will hold off his teammate Kenseth. The lucky win number 13 on the season for Biffle if he can do it. It'll be back-to-back. Both on the same day. And it'll expand his points lead with a max points day as he's already clinched the most laps led. Haven't really seen Ron Hornaday in this race. Biffle gets around Al Wiggins pretty quickly. $30 to go at the line this time by for the Biff. The lap cars are going to be 3 wide in the tri-oval nearly. I thought Scott Busch in the 56 was going to take him 3 wide. Got blocked off by the 113 car in front of him of Nick Richardson. As heavy of lap traffic as Biffle has caught a long time in this one. They're all staying to the outside though. It's going to make it easier for Biffle to get around him. Biffle's been pulling Kenseth the last few laps as well. Definitely getting through the lap traffic quicker than Kenseth, more than just Terry Cook as well. He slides up in front of the 152 car now also. And Cook will be the next lap car. Biffle to the outside of the 10 in turns 3 and 4. Biffle into the wall. Trying to get around Cook. That slowed him up quite a bit. He had just over a 1 second lead on Kenseth. Really allowed Kenseth to close back in. Kenseth now back to about 8/10, now 7/10 of a second off the lead off turn 2. That was a mistake by Biffle trying to get to the outside and just couldn't hold the outside lane to get around Cook. And we'll catch him 2 or 3 more times the rest of this race. Kenseth got past him a lot quicker. Kenseth's still going to have to get through the rest of the lap traffic a little bit quicker than Biffle, though. Really a yo-yo effect between Kenseth and Biffle when they're working with Cook. One car has blown up on the inside of the track at turns 3 and 4. And it's Kyle Busch, one of the contenders for the win early on in tonight's race. And led a lot of laps early. Unfortunately, Kyle Busch is done for the day with just 26 laps to go as he has blown an engine late. But he does get to pit road, so we stay green. And Busch was 3rd in points coming in as well. That is a tough hit. He was over 300 back of the lead, but now he's going to be even more back. He's going to be over 400 back, especially if Biffle wins. And you can pretty much write him off for winning the championship now. There's going to be a long shot to win it before that, but that might have been the final straw that broke the camel's back in Kyle Busch's quest for the Busch Series title in this custom schedule season. There's still 10 races to go following this one. I guess we still have a wild card race at Talladega within the next few races coming up. But he's going to need Biffle to DNF, and Biffle's not DNF'd in the Busch Series yet this year. He has 3 DNFs in the Cup side, but none in the Busch Series. Concentration on the backstretch for Biffle. Doesn't want Kenseth to get too close to him. Still 1 lap car between the top 2, but the lead's down to 4/10 of a second with 23 laps to go. There's definitely still time for Kenseth to get there. Again, Kenseth has not led a lap all day long. Loose into turn 3 for Biffle. Kenseth gets around the lap car on entry into turn 3. No lap cars between the top two for the time being. And honestly, only about 3 to 4 car lengths separates them at the start-finish line. Jimmy Hill in the 116 car, coming off a blown engine in the first race at Homestead today, is the next car in front of Biffle. Biffle and Kenseth pretty even that last lap on speed. Biffle really has to get around Jimmy Hill quickly. Oh, he overdrove turn 1 though, trying to get to the inside of Hill. And he's on the inside of him, but he's not going to be able to clear him off turn 2 with overdriving the entry to the corner. And as they're side by side on the backstretch, a little bit of side draft, and that's enough for Kenseth to pull closer into turn 3. Now Kenseth has to get around Hill. And he can't quite do it off turn 4, and that'll hold Kenseth up in the trial. Well, now he clears Hill. He still got around him quicker than Biffle, though. 20 to go. Biffle might have overdrove turn 1 just a little bit. Kenseth close again. Into turn 3. Kenseth dives deep into the corner. Biffle hits his marks as well, though. $19 to go, and this is the battle for the eventual race win. 3 wide lap traffic coming up in front of Biffle and Kenseth. One of the cars is Terry Cook in the 10. Kenseth slides up off turn 2 behind Cook, and he's going to get held up off turn 2. It's going to give Biffle a little bit of breathing room. Kenseth will get around him into turn 3. It's an 0.8 of a second lead now with 18 to go at the line. 3 lap cars directly in front of Biffle. Biffle needs to get around these guys quickly. Now he has a little bit of separation from Kenseth. We're going to catch Cook one more time in this race. Biffle will get around Donnie Hart in 3 and 4, as well as Sean Batson on the backstretch. 0.7 of a second, the difference between first and second, with 3 lap cars between them on this 1.5-mile racetrack with 17 to go. And they'll catch Terry Cook one more time. A lot of clean air in front of Biffle for the time being. Kenseth's gotten around 2 of the lappers pretty quickly for the most part, about as quickly as Biffle did. Kenseth can't afford to get held up behind Cook the final time. I think he's got enough speed in his race car to run Biffle down before that. If not before that, at least total in the final 16 laps, as long as he doesn't get caught behind Cook again. Biffle's been caught behind him a couple times. He also can't afford to get caught again, or Kenseth's going to be there for the lead. 15 to go. Kenseth's been close the entire second half of the race since that first and only caution back at lap 93. But he has still not led a lap yet. But the only one that matters, or the one that matters the most at least, is the white flag lap, the final lap. We are getting closer and closer to Biffle trying to widen his arc out into 3 and 4. Remember, Kenseth seems to have a better long-run car. We kind of saw that at the end of the last tire stint. And they're not going all the way to the end of the fuel run and the fuel window on this fuel and tire stint to the end of the race, but they are going quite a ways, though. About 47 laps on Biffle's end. Kenseth 0.6 of a second behind him. 13 to go this time by. There's going to be more lap cars that they're going to catch outside of Terry Cook, and when Cook gets in front of him, they might stack up even worse. Protect the bottom at all costs, indeed. Biffle's done for the most part today. He didn't make any adjustments under any 3 stops today, and I'm not sure if Kenseth made any adjustments, but under the last run as well, as they got late in the run, it seemed like Kenseth was getting tight off the exit of the corner, and Biffle was getting tight on the entrance to the corner. And last lap, Kenseth was a 10th quicker than Biffle. From 0.6 back to a half a second back. Pit at lap 153. Field window's 59 laps for us tonight, so we're plenty good to the end. Biffle a little loose into turn 3 that time. Maybe he just overdrove it a tad. Got the car to hook up on the bottom of the racetrack, but he definitely felt a little bit lighter than what he wanted to going into that corner. 11 to go. I don't really know that the 17 or the 60 are going to make a mistake. Craig Miller in the 168. Maybe the next lap car. I say maybe because I'm not sure where Terry Cook's at yet. I'm catching Cook about every 10 laps, and we have 10 to go right now. So I don't think we're going to catch Cook twice. I think we're just going to catch him the one more time to the end. I think he's on the outside in turns 1 and 2 right now. And he's still on the outside, middle of the back straightaway. Craig Miller towards the top. Biffle gets around Cook quickly as well as Miller. And Matt Kenseth got around Terry Cook pretty quickly as well. So both Kenseth and Biffle get around Cook pretty cleanly. Pretty equal on speed that last lap between the 16 and the 17 as well. 9 to go. I was waiting to see if Kenseth was going to get stuck behind him again or not, and that wasn't the case. Kenseth goes a bit wide in turns 1 and 2, though. Biffle gains about a 1/10 of a second back from what he lost a couple laps prior. There's definitely a few more lap cars Biffle's going to catch. Biffle 0.2 of a second quicker than Kenseth that last lap. That was big. Ran a 31.398. It wasn't like it was much quicker. I think Kenseth just might be driving it too hard on his own now, trying to get to Biffle. They are teammates. You'd have to assume they're going to race clean. The 119 car. Keith Grimsley, last car in the lead lap. On the bottom of the racetrack, Biffle trying to get underneath him. There's contact. Grimsley just held up Biffle in the tri-oval. Biffle was about a 10th quicker than Kenseth through the first probably 3/4 of that last lap. Oh my goodness, Grimsley. Biffle trying to get around him on the backstretch. I'm not sure why he's blocking other than the fact he is the last car in the lead lap. Biffle does not need this right now. Kenseth 0.2 quicker that last lap than Biffle. 6 to go. Biffle needs to get around the 119 car. In turns 1 and 2. To the inside, off turn 2. More contact. Oh, this is just terrible. Kenseth's got a massive run off turn 4. Grimsley is racing the heck out of Greg Biffle right now. Biffle again to the inside off turn 2. I think he should get around him in turn 3 now. And he does. Finally, they're coming to 4 to go, and Kenseth's back in it. He's on the inside of Grimsley off turn 4. If Kenseth wins this race, I'm blaming Keith Grimsley. That was just not right. Pulled a Newman. Pulled a Newman Bristol Night Race 2019 on us. Kenseth a lot deeper into turn 3 than Biffle. Biffle trying to back the corner up so he can beat Kenseth back to the gas. Kenseth's been struggling with tightness off the exit of the corner late in the run, but not that time. He held the bottom a lot better than Biffle even. 3 to go. Santiago Kid, welcome to the stream. You're just in time for the finish. Biffle, the inside of Trey Murray in the 113 car, but he can't clear him off turn 2. That's going to give Kenseth a run on the backstretch. Kenseth drives deep into turn 3, but so does Biffle, just trying to stay in front of him. Biffle leaves about a half a lane open on the bottom, but not enough for Kenseth to get underneath in that time. 2 to go at the line. 3 more lap cars up ahead. Will they catch them before the end? Kenseth really deep again, about a half a lane open on the bottom, but not enough for Kenseth to squeeze his nose underneath the 60. Kenseth a lot deeper on corner entry into turn 1. Still can't get to the inside of Biffle. Biffle a little lower in the center of the corner that time. The right front into the yellow on the tire wear indicator. Final lap. And the Roush teammates battle for the win. Biffle flat into turn 1. Again, just trying to protect the bottom. Kenseth overdrives the corner just a little bit. He goes wide. Biffle gaps him by about a car length off of turn 2. One last charge into 3 for Kenseth. Biffle's going to hit his marks beautifully. And Kenseth's too far back. He's not going to get there. Checkered flag is going to wave, and Greg Biffle will hold off his teammate Matt Kenseth to win back-to-back races on the same day as he'll win the Mr. Good Sense 300 at Kansas. A little close for comfort at the end. The lap traffic, and specifically the lap car of Keith Grimsley, really held Biffle up those final, pretty much from 6 to go, 8 to go to 6 to go, and that allowed Kenseth to get within striking distance, but Biffle never made a mistake when Kenseth caught him with 6 laps left, and he's going to go on to win this race. Cats and Tom's Productions, see you in the chat as well there at the end. Thank you for tuning in. There we go. That is a W. 2 of them today for the Biff. Take a look at the finishing results. 1 hour, 52 minutes total time on today's race. 1 caution for 3 caution laps. It was at lap 93, 4-car incident there. 11 lead changes. Greg Biffle goes on to win with 164 of the 200 laps led today. Kenseth didn't lead any, but he definitely challenged late after starting deep in the field in 28th. Jeff Burt finishes 3rd. How about that? A 1-2-3 finish for Roush Fenway Racing. Kenny Wallace is the highest running Busch Series regular, finishing 4th, leading 3 laps during green flag pit stops. Ron Hornaday, who comes in 2nd in the point standings. No laps led for the 2nd race today, but 2 top 5s today. Nothing bad to write home about. David Stremme ends up finishing 6th. J.J. Yaley 7th. Dwayne Borland, the highest running fantasy driver, gets a top 10 and 8th. Ashton Lewis 9th, and Tim Fido rounds out the top 10. And we had a total of 22 drivers finishing on the lead lap. And we had quite a few DNFs. Bobby Hamilton Jr. blew an engine late. I didn't even see that. Mike Bliss ends up blowing an engine. We saw Kyle Busch blow an engine with 26 to go. Terry Cook obviously was off the pace. He still finished the race, but in 39th, over 53 laps down, it looks like. Jared Holmes blew an engine. Hermie Sadler blew an engine. Luke Nixon blew an engine. Shane Kirkland blew an engine in this race. We had a lot of engine failures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 DNFs in tonight's race. 2 of the top 4 in the point standings blew an engine. 3rd and 4th in points. Kyle Busch and Bobby Hamilton blew engines. So I think Busch might actually still be 3rd. Well, they did both lead laps, so we'll see. we'll check out the point standings before we get out of here on the night. 20 likes on the stream. Definitely like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Again, Sunday afternoon, live commentary for the actual NASCAR Cup Series race at Dover. And then the next live stream will also be on Sunday, but it'll be noon Eastern Standard Time before the Dover Cup Series real live commentary race. We'll have the video game side for the Nextel Cup Series on this game. 5 races to go in the custom schedule season for the Cup side. That will be taking place at Watkins Glen. It'll be the final road course race of the season. Next race for the Busch Series season will be next week for the Cabela's 250 at Michigan, 125 laps there. So Michigan, Darlington, let's see what tracks. Michigan, Darlington, Dover, Talladega, the next 4 races for the Cup Series. For the Busch Series. Not the Cup Series. Pretty nice little battle. Clean one. Between the teammates. Kenseth and Biffle. And 1-2-3 finish for Roush Fenway in race 2 tonight. Biffle's got over a 1 race lead in the Busch Series point standings now as he ends up finishing this race, and really with both races today, now 172 points ahead of Ron Hornaday. I mean, we came in with a 93-point lead over Hornaday. Hornaday didn't lead any laps in either of the 2 races, so no bonus points. 10 bonus points in both races for Biffle and a win, so 2 max points days. Has drawn that lead out 89 points just within the last 2 races of the season, both today. And then Kenny Wallace getting the top 5. Definitely closes on Busch and Hamilton with those guys blowing engines today. Maybe Kenny Wallace could get a top 3 finish in the point standings in this Busch Series season. Ashton Lewis, J.J. Yaley, Tim Feedable, Blue Castleberry. Terry Cook's 15th. I guess he was a little further back than what I thought. I thought he might have been in the top 10. How was Blue Castleberry in the top 10 in points? We had a fantasy driver in the top 10 in the Busch Series points. What the heck is going on here? Still a 2-horse race, though, for the championship, even more so now at the engine failures to Bobby Hamilton and Kyle Busch today. But still 10 races to go, long ways to go in the season. This championship is by no means over yet. Talladega right around the corner. I suck at the super speedways on these games. These games, meaning the EA Sports video games, I never seem to have good finishes. So that's coming up in a few races. We might lose a little bit of our points lead there. We'll try to maintain it as best as we can. At least the bright side is the Busch Series races are shorter than the Cup side, so maybe I'll have a decent finish. I don't think I've won at Talladega on the Busch Series, though. And I think the last time we raced there earlier in the season, I finished like 35th or something like that. So I don't know what's going to happen in this one when we get there, either next week or the week after. But thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll see you Sunday afternoon. I will not be live tomorrow night, but doubleheader Sunday again. Watkins Glen, NASCAR 05, and then the big one will be the actual Cup Series live stream and live commentary for the Dover Cup race that is on Fox Sports 1 this weekend. So if you do not have cable, you can definitely watch the race with us on the channel, or listen to me commentating the race on the channel this weekend. We'll have live leaderboard and much more. Thank you. See you then.